Hey, welcome everybody. Let's talk real estate. Your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current commercial real estate market here in Southern California. As we take a no BS look at both sides of the issues driving this market today to find the best solutions going forward. With our man right in the middle, it's Barry Saywitz. Hey, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Paul, and good morning to all of our viewers and our listeners out there. I am Barry Saywitz. It is Tuesday. We are back. We are talking more real estate, and I'm excited about today's show. Before we get going, I do want to do a shout out. We are in the middle of March Madness, so for those of you who still have teams in the hunt, good luck, and you have more games coming. And for others that have gone by the wayside, which is a couple of my teams, we'll try again next year. With all of that said, normally we dig deep into the real estate side of things, but today we're going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to mix in some performing arts and a little more refined conversation. And so I want to welcome our esteemed guest, John Forsyte, who is the president and CEO of the Pacific Symphony here in Orange County. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, so I appreciate you coming on. Like I mentioned, we thought we'd do a little bit different of a spin. On the one hand, I really feel like the Pacific Symphony is really at the heart of Orange County's history and growth and the performing arts as it's grown here, along with everything else over time. So there is a real estate twist to it. But I want to go back to the beginning, and you've been a long time participant and resident here in Southern California and Orange County in particular. If we go back to the beginnings of when you first got involved, let's talk about those early days and then sort of work our way forward to today.
Sure. Well, Pacific Symphony was founded in 1978, actually, and it was through a seed grant support from Cal State Fullerton. And at that time, in the late 70s, many of the, arts entrepreneurs and supporters came from North County, and we were part of that founding generation. Marcy Melville was the founder of the orchestra. Keith Clark was the first music director. Fast forward to the early 90s, Keith left the orchestra and Carl St. Clair was recruited. But by that time, by the mid-80s, the symphony had made its way from Fullerton to the Knott's Berry Farm Good Times Theater and Santa Ana High School, all the way to the Segerstrom Center, or then called the Orange County Performing Arts Center in 86. When I came in 1998, the orchestra already was fairly established. It had gone through this kind of rocky period of transition. And then Carl, being the dynamic music director that he was, really solidified and professionalized the music making, and the amazing Segerstrom Center became really an anchor for the symphony's growth. And so by 98, there were plans at that time for the construction of a new concert hall in 2006 that would open in 2006. So, for that 8-year period from 98 to 06, it was a very exciting and dynamic time for me as a young orchestra manager.
Yeah, and really a lot of that, I think you can expand on it, but was really pushed by the Segerstrom family and Henry back in the day, wanting to continue to develop the area and the land that he had around South Coast Plaza. They were certainly big supporters and big fans of bringing cultural arts to Orange County, and then as a byproduct, it was a real estate play where you'd bring people there and they'd go to the mall and go to the restaurants and some of the other amenities that are around there. And so it really did flourish as Orange County and as that part of Orange County continued to grow.
I think too much is made of it being a real estate strategy. I think it was, to some extent, really a vision for what community is. And I think it was South Coast Repertory Theater, actually, that sort of carved out its niche on that property near South Coast Plaza. And, that proved the viability of the arts as a nonprofit corridor there. And it was then Elaine Redfield and Marcy Mulville and others from North County that approached the Segerstrom family to donate the land. And they made very, very significant financial commitments to build the venue. But it really was a sort of county-wide effort.
Yeah.
Segerstrom family certainly critical, but so many people participated in that campaign to open the hall in 1986. And to this day, I meet people who were at the opening.
Yeah.
And the symphony actually, sort of paradoxically, it was not a greatly appreciated organization in the mid-'80s. It took some convincing that the orchestra should become a resident company. It was, it was only 8 years old. It hadn't really established a huge reputation yet. In fact, it was the Los Angeles Philharmonic that opened the original hall, not the Pacific Symphony. So when you think of that journey from 86 to 2006, where we opened a concert hall really dedicated to us, that 20-year period was extraordinary. And a lot of credit goes to the musicians, to that board, to Carl. So I feel very fortunate to have been around during that period.
And as the population of Orange County continued to grow, it really was, I think, a push from everybody involved on your end to really put Orange County on the map and grow the symphony to really to what it is today, which is really a world-class structure and really brings people from all over, not just Orange County today. And so and you've got the economy going up and down while all this growth is going up and down, and not so much the real estate market, but lots of twists and turns over time. I guess let's talk about the symphony and how it's funded and how you continue to be able to grow and fund the kinds of things that you want to do.
Well, just nationally, there are hundreds of professional orchestras, and California has 100 professional orchestras. So it's quite a badge of pride that the Pacific Symphony became what's called a Group 1 orchestra, the League of American Orchestras. That's the national service organization. So that's a threshold budgetarily, activity-wise, that means that we're sort of part of a group of 30 orchestras that are
really the top,
the largest in the United States. And for that to happen in a 47-year period is really extraordinary in American music history. There hasn't been an orchestra founded in the last 50 years that comes close. So to some extent, that's a reflection of this extraordinary county. And I think to an extent, the appetite for orchestral music here. So Pacific Symphony's budget now for this particular year is over $26 million. And of that, about 11, close to 12 million is earned revenue. That includes ticket sales, contracted work. So we're asked to play for the ballet, for example. Next week, we'll play for the American Ballet Theater. And that's a contracted program where the Segerstrom Center hires the Pacific Symphony to play for the ballet. But the rest of it, about 13 to 14 million a year, has to come from philanthropy. And from that philanthropy, I'd say 80 to 90% in any given year is from individual donors.
Yeah. So
we're incredibly dependent on philanthropy from the larger community. Over 3,000 donors support the orchestra. That's actually fewer donors than you might see in the Midwest, where there are these, vast numbers of people who give small gifts. It's kind of a church going community there. So we're very reliant on a small number of very large annual contributors. And I think that's something we're really working on. That's a critical vulnerability of the symphony, is to expand people's awareness that there's a philanthropic commitment required to support a great cultural organization. And a lot of what we do is free. We say more than half our audience hears the orchestra for free.
Huh.
And that's through education community engagement programming in the schools. We serve veterans. We have music and wellness initiatives that really define the role of music to improve health outcomes. And we're doing a study right now at the Samueli Integrative Health Center on how music can improve anxiety, depression, and pain outcomes. So there's a lot that we do that isn't visible from the stage.
Right. People just don't know.
Yeah. And even just our concerts, because we rehearse 4 times, we have to pay stage labor, we rent the hall, we have marketing expenses. Every concert, unfortunately, even if it's sold out, loses money.
Really?
And that's just the nature of employing 80 plus professional musicians. And every orchestra in the country has to raise money to underwrite its concert life.
And one of the questions that I had was, the musicians that play, are they dedicated to the symphony, or do they sort of travel around and do their own thing as well?
Our musicians generally do have to subsidize additional parts of their income. So I would say, between 50 to 75% of a Pacific Symphony musician's income is from us. It depends on how much education and community engagement work they do, or how much work they actually accept. But we're obligated to produce 200 services for them every year, and a service is a 2.5 hour block of time. It's like a rehearsal or a performance or a teaching segment, and they get paid for that. But to make ends meet in Southern California and afford housing is a really big challenge for us.
And those people that are part of the orchestra are all pretty much based here in Southern California or in Orange County in particular, right? They can't travel from other parts of the country. It's just
Right. It's very rare. We have one or two musicians who are splitting their time between other cities and here, but say 98% live in Southern California, many in Orange County, many in Long Beach, so that they can perform and teach in Los Angeles. So we have faculty from the major universities. They also have private teaching studios, and then a fair number of them are Hollywood studio musicians and record all the great soundtracks. So that really is lucrative work and can help subsidize their living.
Interesting. And did I read it right that the symphony is a nonprofit?
That is correct.
So the trick is not to lose money, and if you make money, you roll it back in and put it towards doing something good or an additional service.
Yeah, I mean, it's nonprofit doesn't mean that you can't make profit. We don't. There are some orchestras that have a big commercial music business. The Los Angeles Philharmonic has been granted probably the greatest gift any American orchestra has, which is the use of the Hollywood Bowl.
Right.
So they generate a very nice income from that helps subsidize their classical music programming at Walt Disney Concert Hall. Every orchestra has a different business model in terms of like revenue sources. They may own a hall, they rent, they may have catering business, they may have a commercial music business, but for the most part, philanthropy is well over 50% of every orchestra's income in the United States.
And so you have all these programs. From a marketing standpoint, how do you get the word out, and how do you try and draw people going forward? I mean, it's the age of the internet. You go back to the 80s, wasn't so much then, but today's certainly a different ballgame, and then it seems like the older generation would appreciate the music more than the newer, but I'm not sure that's 100% correct, where the goal would be to expose people to the music and the sights and the sounds.
Well, I think that's one of the most complicated questions. I think there's two different disciplines. One is audience development, and the other is marketing and sales. And audience development is a long journey process of music education, exposure, enrichment programs that help to gradually help people understand that orchestral music is like going to an art museum, where if you have some context or why the composer wrote what they wrote, it really helps.
It helps, sure.
We just did a monumental work, 50-minute plus long symphony by Dmitri Shostakovich. He wrote it just after Joseph Stalin died. It has a lot of deeply felt, dark passages reflecting Shostakovich's own journey through a horrible time. And it ends with a little sort of empty celebration of sort of unknown what's going to happen. And I think if you know some context about what he was living through, that piece has a much deeper feeling for people. So audience development is a bit of a learning journey, and it's also how we program. It's what we program. So we're exposing people to new language. Marketing, in our case, we obviously lean heavily into digital marketing, and that's proven to be effective. But for subscribers, and that's the foundation of our audience, is the season ticket holder.
Right.
We're still very reliant on direct mail. We're still very reliant on telemarketing. I just spent 2 hours talking to the telemarketers, most of whom are all musicians or ballet dancers, and I say you're not really telemarketers, you're teleeducators, because you have people on the phone and they want to learn about what we have to offer. But we really depend on that base of audience, and then we sell single tickets over and above that. And digital has proven to be very effective for us. And we've wrapped that in a brand for the Pacific Symphony, which is Joyful Connections. Come to the symphony and you'll experience that wonderful connection with your friends, your family, and the power of the music you can hear.
It's a night out on the town, and it's all good stuff. So you mentioned about UCI with the study there. I guess let's talk about as the university has grown and expanded their programs, they have music programs and things, as do some of the other universities in the area. How do you, if you do, integrate with the universities in terms of bringing in talent, exposing to younger generation?
Well, we have a wonderful student rewards program, so we do see a lot of students coming to concerts. We have a big initiative from our group sales department to engage with high school bands and orchestras. So even on Saturday night, I saw hundreds of students who are teenagers come to hear Shostakovich 10th Symphony. It was really, and the energy in the hall just goes way up. So that's very exciting. We partner with UCI in a lot of ways. It starts at the, with the CEO Roundtable. On that CEO Roundtable,
Right.
They come to concerts regularly. But a lot of what we do is with various schools. So we're partnering with the School of Engineering on a instrument making competition called eSonic. So engineering students will design an orchestral instrument that's never been heard before, and that's a fun way for them to create their practical talents for the purpose of symphonies. We work very closely with the School of the Arts, and we're doing a side-by-side where young musicians from their orchestra will sit with the professionals and be coached by Carl at the concert hall. So, UCI and the symphony have a very deep relationship. Chapman University and Pacific Symphony have collaborated on multidisciplinary festivals. We do a free concert every summer on the Aiken Plaza outside the Musico Center. Daniele Strupa, the president, has been a great supporter of the symphony, loves the arts, so that's been a wonderful partnership. And we were founded at Cal State Fullerton and now have the dean
Right.
of the School of Arts on our board, and we're exploring how we're going to engage with them now. But we've had a long relationship with all three major universities, and even Concordia. We house our middle school immersion camp called Arts Express at Concordia University in Irvine. So higher ed is, I think it's sort of the last stand for adults to get some enriched music education before they go out and, hopefully they'll remember the power of a symphony orchestra and come back to it later in their life if they have the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I took my son when he was in high school, and I don't want to say he went kicking and screaming, but it was, why am I going and what is it about, whatever. And then after he went, he was like, oh, that was pretty cool, right? So you have to see it and hear it to believe it, and then I think it sticks in some degree, and hopefully you take it on to the next thing you do.
And we have one, I didn't really say it, but we really have one of the world's great concert halls. The Renee and Henry Segerstrom Concert Hall. It's so vital. Like when you hear an orchestra in a poor acoustic setting, it just doesn't have the same impact. So we are so fortunate. When you hear the Pacific Symphony in that hall, it's just hair-raising. It really is. It's one of the most exciting things you can experience.
And so let's fast forward to today, because I know you've got some exciting things on the horizon. You've got changes and we'll call it growth, evolution, whatever you want to call it. But here we sit today, right? You're past the COVID challenges, I'll call it, with trying to get people to come or experience a group setting during the COVID era, and now we're moving on to the next. And so talk about some of the things that you have in the works.
Well, it's an emotional season because we're celebrating the 35th anniversary of our music director. That's the longest tenured music director in the country, Carl St. Clair, and it's his final season as music director. He's not leaving us. He'll become music director laureate. But nevertheless, every concert now till the end of the season in June is really extraordinary. That includes a big opera project in just a couple weeks. And then he's a very spiritual guy, so he's conducting works that have connection to his Roman Catholic faith. And one concert's called Cathedrals of Sound, and it includes Gregorian chant, organ, and a monumental work, Bruckner's Seventh Symphony. It's an incredible journey through them. I think it sounds like the mountains of the Alps. It's very beautiful. And then the Verdi Requiem to close his tenure. And it's an interesting choice to end his tenure with such a deeply spiritual work that ends softly. But he said, I don't really want to promote the end of my tenure as some bombastic conclusion. I want people to be reflective. I want to be reflective of my relationship with the symphony, and frankly, his partnership with the Pacific Chorale. So the end of the season will be incredible. And we're very excited, though, that an international search that we undertook over about 18 months revealed an extraordinary talent. Alexander Shelley has just been named the Artistic and Music Director Designate of Pacific Symphony. So he will become our full-time music director in the 26-27 season, but next year he comes 4 times as part of a blended season where Carl conducts 3 times and he's 4 times. And we go through that transition. But Alexander's a visionary. His work in Ottawa, Canada with the National Arts Centre Orchestra was something that we didn't know about, and when we visited, learned that he had done extraordinary work doing Canadian tours, developing relationships with all sorts of communities throughout the country, mentoring young professional musicians, and building a great orchestra that really surprised us. So we thought, this guy is a visionary music director. It's different than just being a conductor. It's a job which is about programming, selecting, and building a sound, and selecting musicians. It's establishing a philosophy and set of values around how we educate and engage the community. So I'm, as CEO, I have a partner, a chief artistic officer, right, CAO, and we work together to run the orchestra.
And this will be sort of the beginnings of the next generation, if you will.
Chapter.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure. And not that Carl's gone on the wayside, but take it to a different level, I guess, next level, whatever that might be. And so let's talk about the facilities, because we were chatting before we got on air. You've got some exciting stuff in the works in terms of looking to develop a new home for the symphony. Tell everybody about it, because I wasn't completely aware, and I'm sure nobody else out there is either. It's exciting stuff.
Well, let's be clear. The main home of the Pacific Symphony is the Segerstrom Center for the Arts, and we're a resident company there. And just to clarify, the Segerstrom Center and the Symphony are separate nonprofit organizations. They don't run us. We don't run them. We are a company that rents the hall and partners with them in many ways, but we're independent. We have 2 other homes, if you will. We have an administrative home, and that home is at the corner of Fitch and MacArthur. And it was purchased by one of our board members and then subsequently donated. And half of that building is dedicated to teaching Orange County Music and Dance, and I'm on that board. That's also a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So Orange County Music and Dance has an aspiration to build a brand new, very exciting campus at the Great Park of Irvine, and the Pacific Symphony will become part of that campus. We'll move our offices there. We'll host rehearsals there for our youth ensembles. We have 4 bands and orchestras that we oversee for high school and middle school students. And then we'll probably expand our education programs in the Great Park as well. What's really exciting is just, a few thousand yards away will be the permanent home of the Pacific Symphony's summer season. We hope in 2028, Great Park in the city of Irvine will build a brand new amphitheater that will be breathtaking. We've been part of the planning process, and it looks so beautiful. And it'll be a venue where commercial entities can, of course, present all sorts of pop shows, but it will also serve as a home for the Pacific Symphony. In the meantime, this summer and the next subsequent 2 summers, we're at a venue called Great Park Live, which is an amazing achievement. In just a matter of months, they built it last summer as our temporary summer home, but it's really quite lovely. We have round tables and picnicking, and
that one's an outdoor venue.
That's an outdoor venue, and it's 5 performances beginning on the 4th of July, and you can get a season ticket for that. In addition, we do free park concerts all over the county, and that's all available on our website, which is pacificsymphony.org.
There, you beat me to the punch. And so for those people that want to learn more about the symphony, get tickets, get educated on the events, that's really the place to go.
Yeah, pacificsymphony.org. And if I could put a plug in, if any real estate folks would like to know more about the building we're selling, which is on the corner of Fitch and MacArthur and Irvine, I'd love to hear from you. It's a actually fantastic location. Digital sign out on MacArthur could be very attractive to any of a number of developers, but we want to sell that so that we have the revenue to help us build our new campus down in Great Park.
Yeah, and there are so many opportunities in today's world on the development side, whether it's with housing and the push for multifamily, which really makes the site, if someone's able to do that and convert it, that much more valuable as opposed to continuing to use it as an office building or performing arts building. And so it'll be interesting to see what winds up happening, but it is a great location. And so I wish you well with finding somebody. And for anybody out there listening, get your checkbook out, call John, he'll give you a tour. Couple of tickets for a concert, probably throw it in, right? I mean, he'll make you a deal.
Champagne,
that's the point, right? So cheese and crackers, the whole bit. And so for going forward in terms of the creative side, right? I mean, Carl Sinclair really has been, I guess, the centerpiece and the building block and the creative side of things. Going forward with this new chapter, do you anticipate other creative opportunities for the concerts and for what you're going to produce?
You know, our strategic plan calls for diversification of our program offerings because, you know, orchestras really can play anything. It just requires a composer who has an aptitude. And I would say it's like a blank canvas. So just this last year, we've expanded tremendously. We did candlelight Baroque concerts in area churches. We had a first-time concert called Soulful Symphony, Soulful Celebration, and partnered with the Arts and Learning Conservatory to create a celebration of African American art, sold out. We're about to do a project that we've been doing for quite a few years, celebrating the Iranian tradition of Nowruz. Yeah. So, you know, we've had strong relationships with the Jewish community and have produced events together. So we see ourselves as a community resource and an opportunity to engage many, many people with an art form that I think can be enriched through the orchestra. So that's number one. I think Alexander's vision is to incorporate multimedia into a lot of concerts and multidisciplinary activities. So for the first time, we're playing the complete Firebird ballet by Igor Stravinsky. It's a beautiful, lush, 50-minute long ballet. And without ballet dancers, how do you convey the narrative, the story? Right. So he's conceptualizing this immersive visual presentation that'll be projected on the walls of the concert hall to kind of convey the action of the ballet score. That's just his imagination. He also believes in the opera work we're doing, but he also thinks that we should be contemplating contemporary opera, storytelling of our time. That's a really big emphasis, not just of the 19th century. So I think we have in Alexander someone who will build off of Carl's legacy, who believes that Carl did an amazing job, and Alexander has repeatedly said how fortunate he is to come into the situation, but he has a fresh perspective, and that's going to be exciting for our audiences and the community.
And for young folks out there, or really anybody out there who wants to get involved, I'm going to guess that you'll take whatever help you can get from a volunteer standpoint. And I don't know if you do summer internships for students, yes. Certainly on the marketing side, but also potentially on the creative side as well.
We have a great and very robust internship program. Abby Edmonds is the Senior Director of Volunteer Services, so she handles the management of that. Any volunteers can easily find out more just by calling our office or looking on our website. And it goes all the way up to being a trustee of the organization. Our board members are our biggest supporters. I mean, they're the ones who guide the strategic direction of the orchestra. And so business leaders or people with, developed skills can be considered for board leadership eventually. So we have a very dynamic board of very generous people that have shaped the last 47 years.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to guess if somebody wants to get involved and write a check, you're happy to talk to them about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is true that, someone once joked, can you buy your way onto the board of the Chicago Symphony? And the CEO said, absolutely. Yeah. But the reality is that governance is a process, and it's more than just writing checks. It's really thinking about the role of an orchestra in the community, shaping direction, providing oversight. And yes, philanthropy is a big part of it too. But it's we have a really happy group of people on the board, and
I really feel like the people that are involved in terms of the board and those that are closely tied to the symphony really have a passion about it, and that's really the driving factor, that they want to continue to see it be an integral part of the community.
I couldn't tell you how fortunate I am. From top to bottom, through my 27 years as CEO, I've had amazing board chairs and just really supportive people.
Yeah. So good. Well, I told you it would go quick. It always does. I mean, we could chit-chat all day, and we could play some music in between, but we all have other stuff to get on to. So with all of that said, I really do appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your thoughts.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the conversation.
And for those folks out there, again, the website, John?
PacificSymphony.org.
And I would suggest go get some tickets, experience it. It's a great opportunity. You won't regret it. And so for all of that, I appreciate it. Best of luck to you, your family, the symphony, and much continued success. So with all of that said, I'm Barry Saywitz. We will be back here next week talking more real estate. We'll put a different spin on it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in this week. Thanks to everybody here at OC Talk Radio for making it happen. We'll see you again on Let's Talk Real Estate.
Well, there you have it. You've been listening to Let's Talk Real Estate, your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current state of the real commercial real estate market right here in Southern California. On Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studio here at the University of California.